We are back into the Earth War with Aliens issue 46. This is volume 1, and this cover is absolutely astounding. And one thing that I really appreciate, now remember, this is 1988, so digital coloring and whatnot was still not there yet. So you really had to use painting to get that style, as where you see the stuff in Marvel Comics now with the Aliens logo. That's all done Photoshop or Illustrator, what have you. So seeing them really take painstakingly steps to make this look like from James Cameron's film is just like, yeah. And then, of course, the Queen looking over her progeny that has not hatched yet. And in this story, that is happening soon. Again, love these interior art pieces that you don't really see anywhere else. And of course, just those things still freak me out. Anyway, so this was the print date, March 1989. Script, Mark Verheiden. Art, Mark A. Nelson. Lettering, Willie Schubert. Now, this issue takes a dark turn. We see this man stretched out in a very crucifixion style with this doctor standing over him, and then these things that just look like something you would see in Star Trek on a Borg ship. Or if you want to get more terrified, and the thing that scars me to this day is the scene from what was the Travis Walton story, Fire in the Sky. Anyway, your name is Morris. Under the provisions of the Baines Amendment, you've been declared a terrorist. You have no rights under American law. Any means may be used to elicit information, up to and including physical torture. I can't feel anything. Spinal blocks. We've deadened everything from the neck down. Don't worry, it's not permanent yet. Let's make it simple. Tell us about the church. Now, this church that they're talking about, if you guys haven't been keeping up, pause this video, go check out issues 1 through 3 that we've gone through. I'll make sure to add the playlist and the issues up here in the top. But there is a radical zealot religious leader named Salvaje. He used to work for Bionational. He knows about the Xenomorphs, and he believes them to be the true Messiah. And so we come to find out that he's been doing illegal broadcasting across the globe. And this, well, in this universe, it would be I forget all of them. Like there's I think it's the ICC, the Interplanetary Core System or something like that. I forget all the acronyms. But anyway, it's called the Church of Immaculate Incubation. And Salvaje's message is saying, join with the true Messiah. You can actually feel the true Messiah. All that stuff. We've seen this Morris character before. We'll get more into that. So he's saying, let's make it simple. Tell us about the church. Tell us their plans for the creatures. If they find out I've told you, they'll make me one of them. I'm told you're a video technician. Good with your hands. That's why I'm going to start with your legs. We used to do this without anesthesia, but there were terrible complications from the shock. And so I love how the doctor here has this very Victor von Frankenstein, or if we want to go Frankenstein, it's pronounced Frankenstein or Steen or however. Anyway, he has that mad scientist look about him. And this also reminds me, and granted it came out years later, but I wonder if they got the inspiration. What was that Gerard Butler movie where he takes the law into his own hands after the mob, the guys broke in and killed his family? I can't remember the name of the movie, but there's a scene similar to this where guys tied down, can't feel anything, and they have their mirror. So I'm wondering if the director of that film was very much inspired from the scene. That's what immediately came to mind. The leftist papers accuse us of using Kirkland probes to actually read minds. I wish it were that easy. Personally, I don't care for probes or psychoactives. Too much distortion. Oh, what are you doing? It's what you're doing. Tell us what you saw. who was involved, and then we won't have to hurt you. And then just this sadistic smile. Look in the mirror. You won't actually feel anything until we stop the spinal, and then you'll warm up slowly. What are you doing to me? After that, if you're still not cooperative, we'll find something else to play with. Ugh, that is just a way to start a comic book. It's very nerve-wracking to read. Especially, I mean, I know I'm reading it to you guys, but when you stop and actually dig into the artwork, you just there's a whole nother level. That's why I say you guys have got to read this. But you come to find out that the doctor was part of the government. He is working for Arona, who sent Hicks and the Benedict to go collect specimens from the alien homeworld. He goes, I didn't bother editing it, Dr. Arona. I thought you'd want to see it immediately. And then Arona. His character arc is really interesting because he tells Hicks, you seek salvation because of what happened on Akron. I seek specimens. And while all this is going on, if you just look at the way he talks to people, he has that very passive, just whatever. And just bluntly, knowing what this doctor did, he just says, how long before he talked? Almost 9 hours. I was quite impressed. You're convinced all my crimes, I'm guilty. What's the matter? I've seen the incubation. I've seen Salvaje's God. You can't begin to understand its power. And so we get a flashback to this guy and how he worked setting up essentially video feeds for people. And the one that he did for Salvaje was obviously under the books. And like I said, the video link, we had a call about some crystal switching problems. So remember, this is way into the future. So I like that the TV and video feeds are called crystals, just like dilithium crystals. So anyway, why he was doing all this, he taps into Salvaje's systems, just thinking that when we first see him at Salvaje's hideout and he sees the Xenomorph, he's just like, that's no God I want to worship. But then he taps into Bionational's feed and actually sees the Queen. My God, they're real. And then we cut to Bionational, which, logical buildup, narrative-wise. Last issue, the pilot from the junket was implanted with the Xenomorph embryo. It exploded last issue. And if you remember, one of the guys, I can't remember his name, in the book they're called Red and Green, but he wanted to witness the birth firsthand. So he runs in while it's ripping through the dude's chest, and James is fighting for his life. And they're like, why hasn't it birthed yet? What's taking so long? And they say looks like he's fighting it. So he gets face to face with James Lakowski, and he goes, what are you doing? This whole thing depends on you. And he goes, you want it? And with his dying breath, grabs the doctor's head, shoves it down on the Xenomorph, and it tears through his clean suit, and he gets shot in the head. Like everyone's saying, kill the beast. And like, no, it's too precious. So they kill the guy so that the alien can breathe within him, or, feed or whatever. So this is the guy that shot him. He goes, hello again. It's Ostro. Just checking in. The others have forgotten your sacrifice. But I remember. I'll always remember. And then we cut to what he's watching. And we see the guy that got shot in the head with the hole from where the alien burrowed into his clean suit. We captured it while it fed on you. It seemed to need that primitive animal kinship while it acclimated to the artificial environment. You were its home. You gave it your body, your life. At least you didn't die in vain. And so in a sense, this guy, even though he's the call of science, I see a lot of parallels between this Ostro guy and Salvaje. Keep that in mind as we go forward in this. But we come to find out that the alien that they captured, they think it was a queen. Granted, now, in hindsight, this came out shortly after the film. So there was an Alien 3 and all the films that we've seen beforehand. So these people really don't understand the alien's gestation period. And I like that they keep it vague, because remember, the first film, Kane, it kind of went quick. And then when the Marines come to Akron and it busts out that lady, who knows how long she's been hanging there. So, there's always that ambiguity on the gestation period. So anyway, we then cut to the Benedict. Over the last 3 issues, Hicks and Newt are reunited. In the book, it doesn't tell you how long. In the novelization, it's, 13 years, I believe. But Newt, because she was a civilian after they arrived on Earth, they wiped her memory, or at least tried to. It didn't go all the way. They locked her up in the Fieldcrest mental asylum, where she was essentially tortured for 13 years. They were planning on giving her a lobotomy. Hicks found out, saved her, snuck her onto the Benedict. And after some fighting with his CO, she's now part of the crew. And here, I like how this little story with Newt and the person she falls in love with, it's kind of like a bookend on their relationship. It starts out, I was standing at one of the viewports, staring into space. The light from the stars stretched around the ship like glowing white neon. I was trying to remember my parents. All I could remember was the blood. And so this character enters. It's an optical illusion. What? The stars. Gravity drive so powerful we're bending the light. You get used to it. Beats the hell out of hibernation. And so this character's name is, the original name is Butler. If you read any of the collected reprints of this down the road where they change the character's name, his name is changed to Bueller. I try to remember that from Ferris Bueller, but that's what the name they gave him, and that as where Newt is Billy. So I just want to keep that in mind. And as you can see, Butler kind of gets to be very protective of her. And then she even noticed, she says, no one had ever shown interest in me before. At first, it didn't make sense. And then he puts his hand on her back. She goes, don't touch me. I'm sorry. And she goes, it's okay. It's my fault. I'm sorry. I'm just, ever been around these things before? And she talked about the pulse rifles. Once, when I was little. Really? You must have had run with a rough crowd. Then I realized it was like me. He knew how it felt to be alone. And so they kind of bond over this aloneness. However, Hicks realizes what's happening. He goes, Private Butler, do you have business at this station? And Newt is thinking that he's being like overprotective, and it causes a schism between the two. She even says, I'm not a child anymore. Butler's my friend, maybe my only friend, and I won't let you ruin that. And so they finally have a romantic moment. Maybe Hicks had been hating so long, he'd forgotten what it was like to care about someone. Maybe I'd been locked away so long I never had the chance. I remember what we talked about with these bookends that I was referring to. We stood at the viewport, staring into space. The light from the stars stretched around the ship like bands of glowing white neon. We see a fist in the foreground. And then we see Hicks. The aliens destroyed my life once. I couldn't stop them then, but I could stop it from happening again. So I just want you to keep that in mind. Now, we get Mars, the guy that was tortured at the beginning. We see it when he said, oh my God, they're real. He runs to Salvaje and he goes, Salvaje, damn you, I've seen it, it's real. We know. And now, when we first see one of his broadcasts, it's just him and Mars in a secluded room. Now he has a congregation. Salvaje's congregation gathered closer, watching in utter silence. I told them what I'd seen. There was no surprise. It was as if they were expecting me. And it took me a moment to truly understand. The vision had overwhelmed them. And look at the passiveness on their face, like that opium of the people type situation. The visions had overwhelmed them, where I was seeing monsters. They were seeing salvation. So this very much has that cult mentality. And it's quite frightening that these people see it. Now remember, I think I mentioned this early on, but not Salvaje, Arona talked about having different people come in and having similar dreams, like horrific nightmares of the xenomorphs, and he can't figure out where these broadcasts are coming from. I want to stress that because it becomes very important, and it's also part of what brought this congregation together. And Morris, the way he's able to talk about how he's seen the incubation, they essentially drag him along to Bionational, where the Queen is held. Now, the novelization, the way that they build it up in the novel, is awesome. Like you feel the suspense. I don't know where the book is, or I'd read it to you guys. So we're just gonna go with what the comic says. But we see a woman walk up, calm. And they're like, "Oh Jesus, I'm picking up movement all over the site." And they're getting ready to call security. And then she pulls her cloak back to reveal these demolition charges. Salvaje's congregation poured into the Bionational complex. I was stunned by their power. And then the way that the art team just does the chilling kind of like fog, like very much if you look at it, instead of seeing like religious zealots, this looks like something, and especially with the black and white, it's like something you either read like in The Walking Dead or makes you think and harken back to George Romero's Night of the Living Dead. Guns didn't frighten them. Death didn't frighten them. Nothing mattered but the cause. It wasn't that they were feeling the pain. They just didn't care. And then just look at how they're all nonchalantly walking up to this door. Danger, biological experiment. Salvaje wanted me to see everything. Even in the midst of the blood and death, he felt important, that I believe. Now, there is a line that sticks out in my mind from the novel when we kind of get to this part, and it says something to the degree of when they see Salvaje walking in, they say he didn't look like a religious zealot. But what's a religious fanatic supposed to look like? You know, drooling from the mouth and looking savage. And it was just a cool little thought. And I know, again, with the comics, they have to move it along because it's a visual medium. That's why I say, please read the novelization, because it really, again, even though like Hicks is called Wilkes and Newt's called Billy, etc., so forth, and things change, like Acheron is called Rem, for example. If you kind of take that out of your mind and step away from that and kind of read these together, like I would recommend, in your free time, read these, and then if you're outside having a drink or whatever, read the novelization, and it just really it enriches the story. And then we cut to the Queen's chamber. And I wish, now granted, I like how we get the grandioseness of the Queen here, but I kind of wish that this would have been like a double page spread before we got the rest of these. I think that just would have really brought it home for me. But still, looking at her here, eggs. The creature watched passively, hovering protectively over its brood. We have come to consummate our love, to purge the visions from our mind, to be one with you. Take me, take. It burst out in a glistening blur, vicious tendrils of fluid flittering behind it like some obscene afterbirth. I could see his mouth twisting in pain as the creature attached itself, and he started to scream. For the first time, Salvaje understood the true meaning of sacrifice. And so the religious zealots start dragging the infected out of Bionational. Remember, the alien is on Earth. Let me make sure there's nothing else important that I want to talk about here. Oh, the Oslo guy. Remember how I said that he's kind of like Salvaje? He runs into the Queen's chamber and he goes, You don't understand. I'd never hurt you. Horner, that was the guy's name. Horner's dead. You're all I have left of him. Whack. You have to understand. I love you. I only want what's best for you. And then we see his fate. So in a sense, the what do you call it? His call to science is almost as bad as Salvaje. So I love the parallels in that regard. So now, Arona, after watching this footage, because this is all, we're essentially watching this in past tense. We're wasting time. We still don't know where the fanatics are hiding. According to Bionational documentation, alien gestation takes anywhere from 72 hours to a week or more. If any of the newborns escape, if any of them are queens, God help us all. So you see where this is starting to go and why it's called the Earth War, right? We then cut to them, Benedict approaching the alien homeworld, and we see that Butler and Newt finally consummate their love. I remember thinking how frail we were next to our machines, and for the first time since Acheron, I cried. Now, before we could have any type of catharsis after everything that just happened, we cut to Massey, and we find out a dirty little secret about Stevens. The Benedict gets boarded, and since something happens to Stevens, Hicks is now in charge. So, guys, we're on issue 4, and things are just still building up. And you're thinking, how can we get all this done in 2 more issues? And they do a damn good job. And that's why I said these comics should have been Alien 3. If they really would have done that, they would have, before the novelizations, if they would have worked with Steve Perry, if you really think about it, guys, that could have been after Alien. It could have been Alien 3, 4, and 5 instead of the 3 we got in Resurrection and AVP. And you get where I'm going with that. So with that said, this is why this is a very important series to the Aliens mythos. So if you enjoyed what you've seen, please first and foremost support your local comic shop or wherever it is like to get your action figures and comics and pick up this series. And also support either your local library or local bookstore and try to grab the novelizations as well. And if you've enjoyed this review, really would appreciate taking a moment to like, share, and subscribe. Helps the channel more than you could possibly know. And if you don't mind hitting that fancy little Queenie bell next subscribe, that way as I continue to upload content, you guys get notified. Come to the channel, and I love talking with y'all and hearing your thoughts and feedback down in the comments or the socials, which I'll make sure the links down in the description. Speaking of, if y'all do enjoy what I do here on the channel and you'd like to help support it, I have additionally left a PayPal tip jar link down in the description. And if not, I still appreciate you stopping by and checking out the video. Either way, hope y'all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, everyone.